We're back. The Silver and Blue Huddle is back, and we got some breaking news, some developing news, some great news to some people, some bad news to some other people. But either way, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to start off with talking about it like right now. The Dallas Cowboys got a new head coach. Brian, whatever his name is the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I do got some mixed feelings about it. I'm not quite sure. But just go ahead and put that disclaimer out there. I don't really know too much about him. I know he's been on the staff the last couple of years. I know he's been offensive coordinator. I know he wasn't calling plays the last 2 seasons of the Dallas Cowboys, and that does kind of concern me a little bit. I know he's a rookie coming into the Cowboys head coaching thing. I know he's been a career offensive coordinator. That kind of concerns me a little bit. I do know that he was the OC of the Jacksonville Jaguars before he came to the Cowboys, and that team didn't do so hot with him as a offensive coordinator, but I'm not going to hold that against him. I got my man Expert Corner here today. So Amazing is out tonight, but Expert Corner is here to talk about the new head coach of Dallas Cowboys, and he's going to convince me on why this was a great hire. He's going to tell me all about Brian. I know about his daddy. I know his daddy was a great coach when he was alive. Rest in peace to his soul. I know his daddy was a great man. Now his son is coming along. Jerry Jones is given his first opportunity as head coach. It kind of scares me a little bit, but I think we was talking offline, and it could be a lot worse. We could have had Kellen Moore. We could have had some other bad people. Mike McCarthy, maybe Pete Carroll. Nothing against Pete Carroll, but I think he's a little bit out of touch a little bit. But hey, he's going to the Raiders, so they're gonna do bad anyway because that's just a terrible organization. But tell me about Brian. Convince me why I should just give him a chance. Go.
Listen, I am super, I don't want to say excited, but I am anxiously awaiting the Cowboys season for several reasons. One, like you said, it could have been worse. It could have been Kellen Moore. That Eagle offense outside of Saquon Barkley is not impressive. It's not. He wasn't impressive when he was with Los Angeles and the Chargers. They were horrible. They got rid of him. All of a sudden, they're a playoff team. Here's the thing about Brian Schottenheimer. When Dak had his best year was when Schottenheimer was calling plays. And then Mike McCarthy kind of completely took it over. And Brian even talked about it in the press conference. He said, Mike and I didn't always see eye to eye. That should be very exciting as a Cowboy fan because I feel like Mike McCarthy's offense was very vanilla. Okay. Twice in Brian Schottenheimer's career, his offenses had led the league in rushing, something we have to improve on. Now, that's one piece of the pie. You got to find athletes and professional athletes to step in and help you lead the league in rushing. And Cowboys don't have that on their team right now. They got to improve this offensive line. They got to improve the running backs. He talked a lot in his press conference about X's and O's, about we will be a motion team. We will try and confuse defenses. He said when he was with Seattle, he said the thing that Pete Carroll asked him to do was look at what your opponents are doing. Look at what the guys around the leagues are doing. I'm not asking you to be the Shanahan. I'm not asking you to be the Sean McVay. What I'm asking you to do is look at what those guys are doing and fit it to our team. And so he did that in Seattle. That Seattle offense was very successful with him. He talked about you have to play to your players' strengths. How many times have we been talking about play to your players' strengths? What do they do well and do those things consistently? Right. He talked about the run game setting up the pass game setting up the run game. They both got to look the same to confuse defenses. How many times on this show have we talked about the Cowboys come out in a formation and I instantly say, he's running an 8-yard curl. He's about to run a drag right here. You got a post coming on the backside and you got the running back leaking out. We know the play that's coming just based on how you line up. So if we can get a head coach that makes defenses think, okay, I'm expecting this play, and then the ball snaps, and it's a completely different play. They're not ready for that. That's going to help this offense move even more. The other thing I really loved, one of the first people to show up at the press conference was Dak Prescott. Schottenheimer talked about the work ethic Dak Prescott has, how he's always in the building. He's always working. He's watching film. He's trying to get better. He's trying to get guys around him better. And the only reason he knows he's in the building is because Schottenheimer's in the building. Both those guys are grinders. They're in the building. He said, we're going to spend hours upon hours upon hours together. That's what I want to hear. How do we get this ball rolling back to where the Cowboys were putting up 30-plus points a game? That's where we got to get to. Now, obviously, that's only one piece of it. You got to get a owner and a general manager to bring some pieces in. And it was the first time really at a press conference I saw Jerry kind of get teary-eyed. And, Steven talked about the fans talking about the drought. Right. Like we haven't been to the NFC Championship in 30 years. That's not a drought. That's a drought.
That's a fact.
Like, don't put the air quotes on it. That's actually a drought. And Cowboy fans are upset about that. So I've said on this podcast multiple times, this is going to be the hardest offseason for the Dallas Cowboys. Step one, to get a head coach. Now, I know they talked to Pete Carroll, they talked to all these other coaches. They didn't talk to the big names, the Ben Johnsons, the Aaron Glenns, those guys.
Right.
But again, this is a Jerry Jones move. It's a guy on the inside. He always likes his guys. He's always been that way. But I like the mentality Brian Schottenheimer had on day one being introduced as the coach. And I feel like as a Cowboy fan, I got to give him a shot. I can't just sit here and automatically write him off because he's been in the building. There is a difference when you're in the building and when you're in charge of the building. Right. When all the guys walking in are calling you head coach, there is a difference. And he's never been given that opportunity. This is a risky hire for Jerry Jones because this guy has no head coaching experience whatsoever. But everything that he said made me more and more excited as a Cowboy fan to get ready for the next year. Now, we're going to find out really early with this team if they're good enough and what this offense looks like, because now there's no excuses. Right. We said Mike McCarthy was the problem. He made this offense too vanilla. They didn't stretch the ball down the field. Guess what? When Schottenheimer was the coach in Seattle, they threw the ball down the field. Now, obviously, they had Russell Wilson in his prime, who was a great deep ball guy. But I think Dak Prescott's a pretty good deep ball passer as well. So we'll see if he extends the field. Does he get CeeDee Lamb involved? Ferguson. Who comes in as that second wide receiver? Brandon Cooks. Jalen Tolbert, whoever they got, how do they improve this offense and get it back rolling like it was? But after that press conference and watching some of the interviews that he did, I am super, super anxious. I don't want to say excited, but I am anxious. I am ready for this offseason because, one, it could be a lot worse. Plus, I think his X's and O's are going to be better than what Mike McCarthy had.
Right. And I really hope so. Everything that you said about him, the way you hyped him up, you may have changed my mind into believing that, hey, next year might be our year again. Because if he can do everything that you just said, next year, 2025, is a Cowboys year. And I'm going to make a whole bunch of videos and make a whole bunch of posts about how it's our year once again, because Brian is going to take us to the promised land. And I cannot wait, because that sounds pretty exciting. Especially with the offense being able to throw the ball more down the field, because I got sick of the little slants, sick of the hitches and stuff like that. I mean, I know defense is the point over the top more, but you got to be able to throw down the field. Like, and you mentioned Seattle, like you had Russell Wilson, you had a few receivers as well, like DK, and then Russell Wilson made some, the Tyler Lockett's of the world, the Golden Tates of the world. I mean, those are pretty small dudes, but they ran some immaculate routes and they got downfield. And Tyler Lockett himself, because I had him in fantasy, because I know like once or twice in the game he was going to go downfield and make like a long score for like a 70, 80-yard touchdown. Like, he was a fantasy god back in the day, but he made those people stars. And if that's the same offense that he's going to bring to Dallas, the Jalen Tolbert's going to have a breakout. Brandon Cooks may have another breakout, may get back to receiving 1,000 yards. I mean, I love that type of offense because I believe the Cowboys just throw underneath way too much and never, ever take shots downfield unless it's like a 3rd and 7 or something like that when you kind of expect it. But imagine if you could take a shot on 1st and 10 down the field and it'd be a completed pass because everybody else is expecting you to throw under, but you go over the top. Like, that'd bring a whole new element to the Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely.
Like, And then if you mix in the run game a little bit, I know Seattle had beast mode over, but if you draft a good running back or we get a nice little veteran in there, or Rico is a little bit more serviceable, he can do the same things that he did towards the tail end of this year. Like, the offense is going to be straight, and we already know what the defense is going to bring. I mean, I know they lost their defensive coordinator, they lost their secondary coach as well, but if the defense plays like it did in the second half of the year, we're going to be fine. As long as the offense can get more than 3 points, which I think Brian can do, like, I think we're going to be fine. Like, we got to be able to overcome just kicking 3 points on our very first possession. Like, I'm excited based on what you said, and if he could do everything that he said, I'm loving it, and I cannot wait till he gets started. I can't wait to see who they add in the draft, who they pick up in free agency, because in the press conference, Jerry and Steven kind of mentioned that a little bit. They maybe even try to spend a little bit more, and free agency definitely draft a little bit better as well, because our biggest need, if he's going to be as offensive firepower as he claimed, is at running back. Like, and then we need another receiver as well. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that 12th pick, but hopefully Brian has a lot of influence into whoever they bring in, and he brings in a nice little running back. Like, that would be fantastic to come in with a run game and mix it up with the play action and to be able to take shots downfield like we did when we was averaging 30 points a game. Like, that was a fantastic season. It didn't end in the Super Bowl, but at least we know our offense was going to score 30, 40 points a game, and other teams are going to have to be able to keep up. But I'm loving it. You convinced me. I'm in. I'm all in.
Yeah, and then they bring Matt Eberflus back.
Yes.
He used to be a linebackers coach for the Dallas Cowboys back when Jason Garrett was the head coach. Defensive coordinator in Indianapolis, one of the really good defensive coordinators. When he was the head coach of the Chicago Bears, that offense struggled, but that defense played lights out. Right. So I'm expecting big things on both sides. I like the Eberflus hire. He's a former head coach in the NFL. He's got that head coaching experience that Brian Schottenheimer can kind of lean on him some. Plus, he runs a really, really good defense. He's going to have the best athletes of his career when he comes to Dallas. Now, a lot of that is, can these guys get healthy? That's going to be the big thing. And then they're going to have to, retool some in the draft. But super excited about these Cowboys hires. Again, it looks good now, but it's January,
right?
And it always looks good in January when you're introducing them. You can always find the positive things. Yeah. It's going to matter most when it's August, September, November and December.
So let me ask you, before we ask you that question, the defensive hire, as long as he installed discipline on the defensive side of the ball, and we do not have a player that pretty much like is out there waving to the fans at the end of the game and give up a Hail Mary, I'd be totally okay with him as defensive coordinator, because you remember that was the Commanders and Bears where the freaking secondary person gave up a Hail Mary.
That wasn't Eberflus wasn't the coach at that time, was he?
I thought he was just the Bears coach, was he not?
I thought they had already fired him by then.
Okay.
I think they had fired him by the time that game rolled around. They may not have.
Okay.
But I think discipline is going to be one of the biggest things for this Cowboys team, right? We look at last year under the Mike McCarthy regime, penalties went synonymous with the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
Like, they were constantly putting themselves in bad situations. And you talked about it. You talked about always being short underneath, throw the drag, throw the slant. How many times we throw a slant in a game, a comeback route, and expect those guys to make plays. And a lot of times it's 1st and 15, it's 2nd and 12 because we had a penalty that kind of brought us back. So a lot of that discipline's got to happen. It's got to happen quick with Brian and Matt on that defensive side to kind of bring it in. Then you just kind of wait and see who he fills his staff with. Obviously, losing Al Harris was big for me. I hated that we lost him. I wish we could have found a way to keep him, but I understand him trying to get something new. They had let all the coaching staff go. He wanted to find something new. And the Bears knew he was big, so they went and paid him a premium price to get him to come to Chicago. So can't be mad about that. Wish Al all the luck in the world, except when he plays the Cowboys.
Right. And talking about like the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, let's play another game. So what is 5 things that Brian must bring to the team or to the coach or the locker room to change to ensure that he's successful as a Cowboys coach and be able to bring a Super Bowl to the Cowboys?
Yeah, obviously we talked about it first. Discipline is going to be the biggest thing. He's got to have discipline with this team. He's got to find accountability somewhere in this locker room, whether that's the leaders that are there now or new leaders that are going to step up. You got to have accountability. You have to be explosive on offense. Listen, these defenses are getting way too good in the NFL for you to sit back and run the same thing week in and week out. You have to find a way to be explosive. You have to find a way to win the turnover battle. The Cowboys, when they were the best, they were winning the turnover battle left and right. And that is going to be the biggest thing for Brian Schottenheimer. Dak can't turn the ball over. We can't fumble the football. And this defense has to be stingy. And then the last thing for me is you have to have great clock management. You have to understand when you are up 14 points in the third quarter, you put your foot on the team's neck and you run it down their throat. You run your offense to get that clock to dwindle down. This is why successful teams are really good. This is why the Kansas City Chiefs are still in the playoffs. They're in the Super Bowl. Right. They understand clock management. They're explosive on offense when they need to be. They understand when it's time to run, when it's time to pass. Patrick knows when it's time to get out the pocket, get rid of a football, get down. Sometimes getting down and only getting a yard is better than you trying to take off and fumbling the football. So I think those are 5 things. Now, obviously, we could sit here and name 10 more things that I think they need to do.
Right.
Defensively, you got to find a way to stop the run. We saw this week, Dan Quinn struggled again. Dan Quinn and stopping the run they go together. They like married together. Right. Dan Quinn still don't know how to stop the run, and it came and bit him in the butt again versus the Eagles. Saquon on the very first play, they just get gashed because Dan Quinn's defense don't know how to play. So, Dan Quinn had a great year, but it means absolutely nothing now because you get to the part in the playoff, you turn the ball over. You have way too many penalties, and you can't stop the run. Those are things the Cowboys got to fix because that was their problem as well. So, those are some things. Of course, those first couple things, being disciplined, having accountability, and being aggressive on offense, those 3 things right there got to start like yesterday.
Right. And I also add one more thing in there. They got to be able to execute, man. Like, the whole reason why the Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl is that they can execute at the highest level at the most critical time. Like, Correct. They need a first down, they can get it. They need a stop, they can get it.
And that's the thing is the Kansas City Chiefs are unique. They may run some of the same plays,
right?
But they line up in the same formation, and you think a play is coming, and they get out the backside and they throw a little dump off to the running back and pick up a first down. It looks like it's that rollout for Patrick Mahomes. Oh, no, it's not. It's the fake rollout, and he's just going to dump it to the – it all looks the same. Defenses are confused. Where do we go? Linebackers, they don't know if they're going right, left. They see splits. They see wide receivers. Their brain tells them, oh, this is the same play I saw in the first quarter. Yeah, it's the same alignment, but we put a wrinkle in the fourth quarter to get you off of your base, and now we're going to throw it back on this backside where nobody was, and it's wide open. It's mind-blowing to me how teams don't look at some of these teams and say, we got to start figuring out how to do what they do. The Chiefs don't – listen, tell me who the Chiefs wide receivers are. Like, they don't have that guy, right? DeAndre Hopkins is there, but he's not D-Hop from the Texans, right? He's old D-Hop at the end, getting to the end of his career, but he finds a way to help them, right? You got a rookie in Worthy. This team, they like you say, they just execute at a different level than their opponents do.
Facts. And
Josh Allen played great versus him, but when it came down to it, Patrick Mahomes executed the offense to perfection in that game, and he knew, okay, I'm going to go get this touchdown. When I get this ball back, we're going to run this clock out. My defense is going to get a stop. That's the other thing. Their defense got off the field. 3rd down and 4th down. They found a way to get off the field. It goes hand in hand when you start looking at these teams. It's not a fluke. You don't make it to 3 Super Bowls, 4 Super Bowls if it's a fluke. It's not a fluke. It's their preparation. It's their execution. It's their dedication to their offense, to their defense, and they play lights out. And that's what we want the Cowboys to be.
Right. And you just mentioned the most key thing, too. Like you said, we can sit here and add to the list all night long. Preparation. The Cowboys got to come out prepared each and every week. Over the last couple of years, we have witnessed the Dallas Cowboys not prepared to play the games, including the wild card game versus Green Bay. So if they can come out and execute correctly, have accountability, have discipline, they could be pretty good. But they got to come out and be prepared every single week to execute out there on the field. They can execute. They could win games. That's the biggest thing. The biggest teams out there, the most popular teams, the best teams out there, execute at the highest level when they need to get a first down, when they need to get a stop, when they need to have a special teams moment, they do. And that's pretty much describing the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, you don't ever hear that they are unprepared. So those are the things that Brian Schottenheimer needs to address and install into the locker room quickly in order to have success as a Cowboys coach. But I wish him the best. I hope he does. So now let's get on these fans. The last couple of days since the hire, you have seen it. I've seen it. A whole lot of people saying they have disowned the Dallas Cowboys. They are burning their jerseys, taking off their hats. They are changing teams. They going elsewhere. What's your message for those people?
I'm going to send you the TikTok, and maybe you'll put it in a video and splice it in so people can see it.
Yes.
To me, for you, when you pick a team, you pick a team for life. And you rock with that team when they're up or when they're down, right? Way too much. We got people. It's too easy to quit nowadays. It's too easy. We do it with people that get married. It's too easy to quit when you get married. Time to have a baby. It's too easy to quit. Your team not rocking with you. It's too easy to quit. You don't like your job. Your boss not doing what you think he should do or she should do. You just quit. I don't like that mentality. That mentality to me, it's like a cancer to me. If it's that easy, I had a head coach once tell me the first time you quit might be difficult. Then the second time it gets a little bit easier, and then a little bit easier, and a little bit easier. And before you know it, quitting is just second nature to you. And so for you to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on merchandise to now make a video of you burning it in your backyard saying I don't like the Dallas Cowboys decisions. What? That to me, that is the worst mentality ever. And I certainly hope people don't have kids and teaching in this mentality, because that's what's wrong in the world today. We need to teach people that quitting's not an option. Let's find a different way, right? Now, if as a fan, you want to say, you know what, Jerry Jones, you're not doing what I think you should do. So now you're not getting another dime out of me. I'm going to watch my team. I'm going to watch CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. And like the video I send you, the guy says, I like Dak Prescott. I like CeeDee Lamb. I like Ezekiel Elliott. Then you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. The owner may make decisions you don't agree with. Guess what? He's been making decisions people don't agree with since he got there. His first decision was to fire Tom Landry. Nobody liked that decision, but it worked out. We got 3 Super Bowls out of it. So he's going to make decisions we don't agree with. Now, do I think he's made some really, really bad decisions these past 5-10 years? Yeah. He held on to Jason Garrett way too long.
Right.
He should have never been the GM of the team. He should have fired somebody that their sole job is to take care of this football team. He should have done that a long time ago, and his son is not the answer. So I agree with the premise that the owner is doing things I don't agree with. But for me, the Dallas Cowboys it's not like just something I do. Like this is, I bleed silver and blue. This is my team. And whether they 1-15, 1-16, or they're 17-0, I'm going to rock with this team no matter what. I'm going to talk bad about them when they don't do what they're supposed to do, and I'm going to give them praise when I think they're playing well. But the last thing I'm going to do is quit on my football team. I just think it's funny. Like, I don't see videos of Carolina Panther fans burning their stuff and saying, I'm quitting the Carolina Panthers, right? I'm quitting the Arizona Cardinals.
The Tennessee Titans.
The Tennessee Titan fans aren't like, I'm picking a new team. I'm now a Falcon fan. I don't see that. I have said time and time again, the Cowboys have the worst fans in the history of all sports. Listen, when you go to Philly and watch a football game, expect to be heckled from the time you get out your car to the time you go back to your car. That's just fact. You should expect that. Those fans are passionate about. You think Eagle fans, when they were struggling, like Eagle fans were like, man, forget the Eagles. No, they just talk bad about them every chance they got.
Right.
I don't get these Cowboy fans that are holier than thou and sit up here and go, you know what? I'm just going to quit Jerry Jones. No, what you did was you quit Dak Prescott. You quit CeeDee Lamb. You quit Zach Martin. You quit Brandon Cooks and Trayvon Diggs and all the guys on that football field. Brandon Aubrey, you quit all the guys that put that star on their helmet and go out there and fight every single week. That's the guys you quit on just because you didn't agree with the $1 billion owner sitting in the box. It's ridiculous to me. And there is not a single fan on this planet that can tell me, please put in the comments, let me know a true, correct reason why you think quitting the Dallas Cowboys. And listen, the guy said, I'm quitting the Cowboys. I'm not going to pick another team. I'm just going to watch football. What? That is beta male material from the core. You are not an alpha. You are a beta if that's your philosophy. And I don't care what anybody says about it. I will die on that hill. If you're a quitter, you're always a quitter.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. I'm not going to go out and burn any jerseys or tear off my hats or not watch the Dallas Cowboys. I'm still going to watch the Dallas Cowboys. Am I disappointed in the Jerry Jones decision making over the last, not just this year, but the last couple of years? I've been highly disappointed, but I still sat up there every single Sunday and rooted and watched the Dallas Cowboys win or lose. And it's been a while since I've seen the Super Bowl. Yes, since 1996, 97. It's been a while. Obviously they haven't had no success, which I'm highly disappointed in. But I'm not going to leave them. I'm not going to destroy all the merchandise that I got. Like you said, I'm actually a content creator / influencer. Every time the Dallas Cowboys lose, what I do, I rip them. I make a video. Every time they win, I make a video. So for me, even when the Cowboys are doing bad, I laugh it off and make videos. That's the way I get through it, right?
Yep.
So either way, I might well just stay a fan. I'm not going to become a fan of another team. I'm not going to just disown the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, obviously you can hurt them in the pockets by not going to the games. I mean, you can do that and still cheer for the Dallas Cowboys because that's your team. Obviously, going to the games, that's where Jerry Jones makes all his money. So you ain't got to give him your money, but you ain't got to just stop watching the team on your free TV in your home on your couch. I mean, especially if you've been a fan all this time. What you going to do? Go to another organization? Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs ain't going to be good for too much longer. I mean, they window is still open, obviously, but eventually their downfall is going to start. Eagles' downfall is going to start. So you're going to switch and go to them, and then they're going to suck. And then the Cowboys will be on the rise again, hopefully. And then what you going to do? Come back to the Cowboys? You took, 2-3 years off from cheering from the Cowboys, and now you back? I mean, come on. If you can live through Quincy Carter, who else? Drew Bledsoe, Jason Garrett. This right here is nothing, because I know I lived through Jason Garrett, his 8-8 seasons. How long was he coach? 9 years?
10 years, I think. Yeah.
10 years? If he can survive that, if he can survive watching Quincy Carter play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, you can survive anything.
It's not even the worst one. We had Chad Hutchinson. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Chad Hutchinson was so bad. We had Ryan Leaf at one point.
I just remember Quincy Carter because I believe he was the one that had the visor as a quarterback.
Yeah, Quincy had his ups and downs.
Quincy was something else, man. Bro. Oh my God. But yeah, if you can survive those years, man, this right here is kind of like nothing. I mean, the Cowboys are still very talented on paper. It's just a matter of them just going out executing. And I've been hearing Eagle fans talking about how good their team been the last, 10, 15 years. But on paper and even during the regular season, the Dallas Cowboys have been just as talented. The only thing that separates them and the Eagles is probably just execution and probably a little bit of head coaching a little bit. But on paper, the Cowboys wiped the Eagles every single year. They swept the series every single year. The Eagles just recently started having success against the Cowboys. And that's not me just sitting up here trolling the captain. You can go back and look at the stats and the results. The Eagles, beat us for the first time, 2 years ago, year and a half ago, when Dak Prescott was out at home or whatever. But other than that, we wiped the Eagles. We wiped the Commanders. The Giants still haven't beat us. So, I mean, we're not capping. We telling facts. You can definitely go back and look at that. They recently started finding success against us, and
it's about winning when it matters most, right?
Obviously, yes.
I think that's the big thing for Cowboy Nation is I'm tired of the September, October wins. I would trade some of those to get a December, January win, and I think that's what it boils down to. The Eagles have been consistent. They've been certainly consistent, and then the other thing is the Eagles' front offense is kicking our butt.
Right.
And that's really, I think that's really where you start to see the separation, right? On the field, I'm taking Dak Prescott over Jalen Hurts. I'm taking CeeDee Lamb over AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. I think Goddard's probably the better tight end of him and Ferguson. Their offensive line probably better at this point. Right now, their defense is better than ours, but their front office went and got those guys. They went and traded for AJ Brown. They drafted a Devontae Smith. They went and got a Saquon Barkley. They got, a Bond. They got a Cooper DeJean. They went Quinyon Mitchell. They are successful in the offseason. And that helps them during the regular season and postseason. So while this is where we talk about we don't agree with Jerry Jones because he's in control of the offseason completely. It's all in his hands. Dak Prescott has no bearing. He's not throwing touchdowns in March. That's just not how it works. That's when Jerry Jones has to step up and execute himself. He's got to find a way to be the top GM. He talks about it all the time about how nobody could do this job as the Dallas Cowboys. I need to see that. I need to see you restructure contracts and go get you a superstar that's in free agency to help this football team. I need you to wheel and deal in the draft and go get somebody in the top of the draft that you think is going to help this team. That's the Eagles front office, the Commanders front office whooped our tails this past couple of years. Now, the Giants, they haven't whooped anybody in the front office. They said, we're going to ride with Daniel Jones and get rid of Saquon.
Right. Just to get rid of Daniel Jones a few weeks later.
Yeah. And so that's the difference is those front offices have really, really, really done a great job for those programs. And the Cowboys have lagged behind, waited to the last minute to sign your superstars, hurt yourself in free agency, don't go and address any issues. So I think that's the big thing for me. Do I think the Eagles are a better football team right now? Yeah, they are. Because guess what? In a couple weeks, they get to play in the Super Bowl. So that makes them better than everybody else except the other team in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs.
Right. And I agree with you as well. So the front office definitely has been horrible the last couple of years. Well, the last 30 years have been horrible. Definitely just been getting whooped up on some of these other teams, not just the Eagles, the Commanders. You had the 49ers front office whoop us up. Tampa Bay they just been outclassed by every other front office organization out there, and it's just kind of terrible. I don't know what kind of funny money the Eagles got over there, how they able to just pay everybody, but they had a little bit of luck as well. They had some aging people.
It's not like it's a secret. No. They tell you what they do. It's on ESPN. Pick up ESPN. Oh, They restructured so and so's contract to give them more of a bonus and free up this much cap space so they could go sign Saquon Barkley. Oh, do we have players where we could free up cap space if, like Dak Prescott, we put some of his thing into a bonus and just paid him money and use that cap space? CeeDee Lamb or Zach Martin, like all of these players that are in the contract, let's free up all this cap space and go get all these players.
Yeah, and they can do it. Jerry Jones just haven't done it. I mean, they wait to the very last minute to actually do it because I remember them restructuring a lot of the offensive line, like Tyron Smith before they traded him. Zach Martin, they always has him every single year, but Jerry Jones is going to do what Jerry Jones do, which is absolutely nothing because he believes he's the best GM in the world, and we all know that is not true at all. So that's that. But Cowboy fans, if you're going to jump ship, please jump off into the deep end and don't ever come back.
And stop telling us that you're jumping ship.
Yeah, just
disappear. Yeah. I don't need to know. Like when you go to the store, do you like turn around and say, "Okay, I'm leaving"? Like I don't need to hear that. Just if you don't want to be a Cowboy fan, then just don't be a Cowboy fan.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you as well. So that's just what it is, Cowboy fans. So just go. You ain't got to tell us that you're going. Just go. It doesn't matter. Pick another team. Go to the Texans. Go to the Falcons. Yeah. Go elsewhere. I mean, because I guarantee you that you'll probably witness another Cowboy Super Bowl before you witness those teams even going anywhere. But you're not welcome back. But I'm not going to leave the Cowboys. I'm still going to cheer them on every single week. I don't have to agree with the front office decisions. Steven and Jerry, I don't like them. I don't like the way they think. I don't like the way they look. I don't like nothing about them. But I'm still going to cheer on the Dallas Cowboys every single week, every Sunday, and I'm still going to talk about them if they lose. If they win, that's great. But if they lose, I'm just going to talk bad about them because I'm a fan, and that's what I had a right to do. And I paid so much money for all this gear anyway, so I'm not going to like burn it or throw it away or I'm not going to do that. No. So, in a few weeks, is the Super Bowl. I guess we got to talk about that, right? Chiefs,
I mean, quickly.
Eagles. I mean, I don't understand why everybody hates the Kansas City Chiefs, and want
People
them
hate
to
success.
lose. Yeah, people hate greatness.
Success. They hate success. They hate greatness. They can't stand to see people succeed in life if it's not them. So, there's all this talk about the referees, help them out, whatever, man. That's all well and done. Great. Okay, perfect. At the end of the day, I'm picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I'm not watching a single second of it. I could care less about the Super Bowl. I won't watch it because the Cowboys aren't in it. I'll probably watch MasterChef or something. I'm not worried about the Super Bowl. But I'm rooting for the Chiefs, and I will look at the phone and look on ESPN and hope that the Chiefs are beating the Eagles.
Yep. I'm going to give that game the same attention that I gave the Eagles and Commanders, and slowly glance at the box score every now and then. And when it's safe to witness a Kansas City winning the Super Bowl, I would tune in. But if that point never comes, then I won't watch the Super Bowl, because I cannot sit and tolerate watching the Eagles win. So when it's safe to tune in and Kansas City has secured the win, or they up big, I tune in. I am going to probably tune in for the halftime show with Kendrick Lamar. But other than that, I'm really not too interested into the Super Bowl. I'm not afraid of Kansas City winning 3 straight. I would love to see it. I mean, I'm a big fan of Patrick Mahomes and what they do over there in Kansas City. I wish my Cowboys can do the same thing as well. But I have no hatred towards the Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles is a different story. They're a division rival. I'm not supposed to be cheering for the Eagles as a Cowboy fan. So I want them to get blown out. So I ain't going to sit up and say, oh, I want the Eagles to win, because no. I want Kansas City to win. I would love to see they 3-peat. I would love to see Patrick Mahomes get another MVP. And I would love for us to come up here the week after that and debate the legacy of Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady or some stuff like that. But I'm definitely going for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm happy for him. I ain't got no problem with him. I don't hate greatness. You better just sit down and watch it and witness it while you can, because you never know how much longer he actually has and how much longer the Kansas City is actually going to be on top. I know you said Kansas City has some annoying fans. I don't know too many of them. But hey, I wish them the best.
Every fan base has annoying fans. Every fan base.
I just don't know too many of them, so they don't really get on my nerves now. Those Eagle fans are a totally different story, but go Kansas City. Drop 40 on them.
Yeah.
Drop 40 on them. That's what I hope. So what else we got?
I'm ready for this off season. It's time. It's time for Jerry Jones to step up and do the right thing.
And at the pick number 12, are you going running back?
No. I will say this: if Genty is there and they pick Genty, I won't be upset. But to pick a running back just to say you picked a running back at 12 is not smart to me. You have to take the best player on the board at that time. An offensive lineman, wide receiver to complement CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson and Brandon Cooks, a defensive end, a lockdown corner, a linebacker that can run sideline to sideline and help Micah Parsons and Demarion Overshown. To say running back is a lock, I don't like hearing that. I don't like people that do these mock drafts and say, oh, the Cowboys pick 12, it's automatic running back. Nope. Pick the best player at the best position that's going to help your football team.
Even if it's a position you already stacked at?
There is no position the Cowboys are stacked at right now. So that the only position they are stacked at is kicker and punter. We are perfectly set there. We don't need a long snapper, a kicker, a punter, and a holder. We are good with special teams. We need any other position. I would say tight end would be the only other thing that they don't need to get at pick 12. They could pick a lineman. They could pick a wide receiver, a defensive lineman, a linebacker, a corner, a safety, a running back. If it's the right person. But the only running back that I would take is Genty or Judkins at 12.
So if for some reason Travis Hunter is there at 12, Shedeur Sanders at 12.
If Travis Hunter is available at pick 12, the 11 teams in front of the Dallas Cowboys should immediately be banned from ever playing another football game, and the Cowboys better run to the podium with Travis Hunter on their card. But Travis Hunter doesn't make it out of the top 5, much less the top 3 probably. So that's not going to happen. Now, would I love for the Cowboys to package something together and go up there and get a Travis Hunter? I would love that, right? Because I think he instantly helps CeeDee Lamb as a wide receiver. But I think there's a lot of depth in this draft at a lot of positions the Cowboys need, running back being one of them. There are a lot of guys that could come in and help the Dallas Cowboys, but it won't make any difference if that offensive line can't block. So I think that's got to be your first concern is how do we shore up this offensive line? Do we have the guys in the building that can do it, or do we need to go and get somebody to help us?
I just hope they made the right call. Hope they picked, like you said, the best available. Obviously, I would love to have a running back, but what do I know? I just know we have a running back hole, and I know a running back would have made a lot of difference this past season. And I know we can't go too far into the draft without addressing the running backs, because who did they pick? Deuce Vaughn last time? I mean,
yeah, but see, Deuce Vaughn was the very last pick they had. Listen, I think Deuce Vaughn has a niche in this offense. He can play a part, and I don't think Mike McCarthy ever wanted to let him play.
Kind of like a Darren Sproles type role?
Yeah, run the screen to him. Let him return kicks. You got to find something. That's what I loved about Brian Schottenheimer talking about. We're going to find out what these guys do best and put them in those positions. That's what a head coach does. Okay. Listen, if Dennis Rodman couldn't shoot the basketball, but what Dennis Rodman could do is he was telepathic with the ball coming off of the rim. He knew how the shot was, where that ball was going, and he was always in position. He led the league in rebounds so many years. I mean, there were times where he had double-doubles without scoring a single point. That's what he did well. And so the Bulls knew we're not going to ask Dennis Rodman to get us 16, 20 points, 10 points. Just rebound the basketball and play defense. We're good. The other 4 guys will take care of the points. That's what the Cowboys got to do. If CeeDee Lamb is your threat, let him be your threat. If Jake Ferguson is your seam tight end and Schoonmaker is your across the middle and your blocking tight end, play to those guys' strengths. What we got to stop doing is trying to fit a round square into a circle. That's the problem. We're trying to make everything that we like fit to something that's not supposed to fit in, and that's where the Cowboys struggled with last year. But Brian Schottenheimer said in his press conference, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to put guys in position to be successful with what they're good at, and we're going to find what they're good at, and that's where we're going to put them.
All right, so hopefully the Cowboys made the right call in the draft. I believe in what you said, so the best available, I'm on board. I'm all in for that. So we talked about new coach, talked about Super Bowl, we talked about front office, we talked about Cowboy fans and how they jumping off the bandwagon. Good riddance. And we wrapped up another episode of the Silver and Blue Huddle. It's available on all your streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Drop comments into the video. We'll address them. We will respond to you. And we just appreciate all the support. So Dallas Cowboys, hopefully we have a good drive. We're going to have a good off season. And, we'll be back. We won't be back next week, right? Will we? We'll figure it out.
Not next week.
Next week. So we'll take a little bit time whenever they have some breaking news. We'll be back before the draft. We'll be back whenever some breaking news happen, But Silver and Blue, appreciate you guys, and we'll check you guys out next week.